Well, courtesy of Moray from All Things Ride, this is home sweet home for the next 3 nights, taking on the Tour of Flanders Sportive. And I gotta say, the weather is not to my liking, but I guess it's sort of appropriate for the classics. I mean, look at it. Welcome, one and all, to the Tour of Flanders Sportive Bike Racing Without Mercy special. Here with Mr. Ruben de Klerk. How are you, Ruben?
I'm good, thanks.
All good?
Looking forward.
You'll see in a second that we attempted the Koppenberg yesterday. Proper emotional, but we made it up, didn't we?
We made it up.
We made it up.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And trust me, the Cobbles, IRL, they are much larger. Anyway, we're just about to hit the start of the route, and we're doing the 177, aren't we?
Yeah, about 180k, so
180k.
should be a good day out.
Yeah, good day out. It's quite rainy, a lot of wind. Yeah, I hope Ruben's confidence ultimately rubs off on me. Anyway, plenty of steep climbs here, and with the Cobbles, as I say, proper difficult. We'll report back.
Will be a challenge to all guys on the bike. Stay safe. And you know we had that big cleaning operation on the top.
And we're off.
In the run-up to and including the Flanders weekend, work for me was beyond stressful, and I couldn't even stay to watch the racing on the Sunday, let alone savour the party atmosphere, and it is an incredible party atmosphere over Flanders weekend. And I couldn't even film the event properly, because just after this my mounted camera decided to give up the ghost, and a combination of rain, cold hands and cobbles, many cobbles, made it unsafe to reach for the handheld. But Jane came to the rescue, and I got enough video to provide what I hope is going to be a good flavour as to why for sure I'll be back with Moray, aka Muzz, from All Things Ride next year to do the weekend full justice.
Go on, you look cold, keep going.
Moray lays on an incredible weekend, including a lovely hotel right on the Koppenberg. So during a light Friday Flanders storm, Ruben and I decided to sample the climb, and I recommend that anybody doing the Sportive does similar, because it's very much more than an eye-opener. The cobbles are literally humbling, and the seated power and technique needed to climb the Koppenberg is substantial, and the road is thin, with folk to dodge on the Sportive itself. So this 2 minutes 53 second encounter focused my mind greatly. Here's some shots of me digging deep on the steeper part of the Koppenberg. It's one of 21 climbs and many of them are cobbled. My personal favourite was Merv and Gerasbergen, plus there are also some cobbled flat segments and a few properly hellish cobbled descents.
Ruben,
We did it, man.
we did it. We did it, and thank you ever so much. I'd have quit long ago. The conditions, well, they're not very Phil-like. Let's put it that way. They're not. It ain't fair weather.
That's correct. It's pretty wet, pretty cold, but we're still going along. So about 60 k's to go, I think.
Pretty wet, pretty cold. No. Very wet, very cold, very windy. Can't even feel the hands. But I'm elated. Are you elated? I'm buzzing having done that.
Yeah, it's good that we made it up this. Klaar om to go.
And I'd have quit long ago if it wasn't for you, so I appreciate it, Ruben.
No
Thank you
problem.
ever so much.
It's my pleasure.
This is a really tough 177 kilometres, and when I crossed the finish line I was all in. But, emphatically but, Flanders is no ordinary cycling event. It's a personal contest and an experience to savour, providing a sense of accomplishment and joy. And I certainly see why some pros say this is their perfect one-day race, and I'm definitely going to be back.
I've barely done any vlogging, but this is the man, Muzz, from All Things Ride and Endurance Zone, that has inflicted the worst suffering I can ever remember. The cold, the cobbles, the rain and the wind. Sir?
I just feel that's just what you need after a
It was
serious
emotional.
accident less than a year ago.
Yeah, it was just what I needed. But Muzz, thank you ever so much.
Thank you, buddy.
It's one hell of an event.
Shame about the weather, but
Ruben,
next year.
you saw me round, mate. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Fisher. And Bryce, all the way from the US.
Yeah, we need some.
You were killing it on the climbs, killing it on the climbs.
Phil, I know you don't drink.
Never have I wanted to end a ride as much as this from about 15 kilometres in. Anyway, time for a Belgian beer.
And after that moment of supreme elation with Ruben atop of the Koppenberg, my technical nightmare continued. Luckily, not the bike, but courtesy of the Wahoo Bolt, which, as you can see here, simply gave up the ghost. And no matter what I do to try and boot it back up on a full charge, holding down the power button here for 10 seconds as recommended, and indeed, of course, indiscriminately pressing and holding down all of the buttons, and of course all combinations of the buttons, it simply won't fire back up. So I've lost all of the data from the ride, and I do love a data fest. Therefore, if you know what to do to get the data back out of a broken device like this, please do comment below, because I'd be really grateful to try and resurrect it. Luckily, the organisers of the Tour of Flanders Sportive provide the usual data, and you can see here on the screen now that I completed it in a respectable 7 hours 18 minutes. Well, not quite, because they don't show me crossing the start line, but I promise we crossed it at about 7:15, and I also promise I didn't put a foot down on any of the climbs, hence I'd love to get the data back out of this. Anyway, super happy to have completed it, and Maury from All Things Ride, my word, what a challenge. As you can see here, we celebrated appropriately.
To the climbers, the Quaemon spoils. Maz, thank you ever so much for an absolute experience. Cheers, everybody. Cheers.
Unfortunately, they're plastic glasses.
Cheers. Smoother than the real thing.
And how I contrived to fail to take my helmet off in the pub, words literally fail me. My embarrassment knows no bounds.